Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today in Python tutorial series, we are going to talk about traversal of a string. So first we need to understand that what is known as traversal of a string. So traversal is basically retrieving each and every character out of a string. That means if my string is this computer and I am going to retrieve all the characters one by one and will display them onto the output screen. That will be known as traversal of a string. So here in traversal, once I am going to retrieve each and every character, that means I am reaching each and every character in the string one by one. So this is known as traversal. So we are going to learn this traversal in different ways with the help of for loop and while loop. So let's begin. So we have taken an example of a string computer and already I have done the indexing in both ways. This is my positive indexing and this is negative indexing. So about these indexing and slicing of the string, we have talked in our previous video, right? So the concept is pretty clear, I guess, to all of you. Now we are going to print them properly. So str1 is equal to computer. Let's say I'm fixing the string beforehand. And then I'm saying that print str1. So it is going to give me the same string which I have written over here. And in the same manner, it will be printing it. So let's run it. Press F5 key from the keyboard. Then press enter and then I'm getting my result, right? But now I want to print my all the characters one by one in the separate lines. So for that I can use for loop. So how will I use it? For I in range. Okay, because we know that for loop always work with range function. So my range is going to accept the value as the number of characters, right? So how many number of characters are there in my string? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 number of characters. So I will take the range as 8. And no need to give any step value because I am going to print each and every character one by one. So automatically for loop will consider the step value as 1. So place the colon over here, press enter. Now indent the print statement inside it. But one more change over here. I'm not going to print my str1, but I'm going to print each and every character of str1. So I should write it in this way. str1 of I. And what does it mean? If I talk about this, then let me mark a comment. And this will work in this way. So first, once my for loop will run, what will happen? I, which is my counter variable, will take the range from 0th index, right? Because if I'm writing 8, then my range is basically 0 to 7. I'm writing it also here, 0 to 7, right? So indexing is also done from 0 to 7. So let's dry run it. First, I is going to read 0th index position, right? Once I'm coming over here inside this, so str of I is 0. So it will become str1 of 0. And str1 of 0 is C character. Next time, as we know that for loop automatically takes the increment by one value. So I will be incremented by 1. Now I have become 1, which is also in the range. So we are coming inside the for loop and we are working on print statement. This time it will become str1 of 1. So str1 of 1 is O character, right? Next time again the incrementation will take place and I will become 2. So 2 is again within the range. So we are coming inside the for loop and this time str1 of 2 will be printed. So str1 of 2 is M. So M character will be printed and so on. So in this way my for loop is going to work. So let's run it. Press F5 key from the keyboard and see the result. So each and every character is printed separately like this. Now, I can print it in different ways also. Okay, so let's have a look for I in str1. That means this time I am not going to define the range. Because if I'm going to use the range function over here, I need to take the value in the digits. But because we are working upon the string, so we don't have the number in string, in digits, sorry, right? So directly also the string variable we can pass, and my counter variable will not read the index value, but it will read character by character directly. So inside my for loop, if I say print I, not str1 of I, I'm directly printing I. So each and every character will be printed in this way. So let me show you. Let me mark this as a comment. Earlier for loop. So now we can run it. Press F5 key from the keyboard, and then we can see that I'm getting the same result having this for loop. So what is the difference between these two for loops? That in this for loop I used range function, but this for loop is without range function, but in place of range function I have written the string variable name. And there is again one change in the print statement. If I'm talking about the numbers, then I should write it in this way, str1 of I. That means along with variable name, we are taking the index value. But if I'm going to read out the character from the string one by one, so I need not to decide any str1 of I in this way. I can directly print my counter variable. So it will also give the same result. Another thing. Now, because my, let me mark this as a comment now and release this. Okay, so we are going to work upon the range function again, but there is one variation. Because I have fixed the string over here, so I know that in my string there are 8 number of characters, and so very easily I have passed over here 8 value inside my range function. But what if I'm going to accept the string from the user at the runtime? Then what will happen? Because whatever the value I'll be entering, I'm completely unaware that how many characters are there. And if I'm, let's take an example that I am taking very small string. Then also it is feasible for me that I can count each and every character and I can place the value inside my range function. But just think about a long string, because my string can be a sentence, can be a paragraph, can be a complete page, complete document of text, right? So in that case, I will tell you the solution. Now, I'm going to accept the string from the user. So I'll be writing input, enter a string, right? And I will calculate the length of my string. So as we have learned that length function can be used for calculating the length of the string. Now, what will happen? It is going to return me. My length function is going to return me the number of characters my string is having. Okay, so if I'm writing here computer, then it will return me 8. So my length one will have the value as 8. And now inside this for range function, I will pass length 1 variable, because my length 1 variable is containing the number of, that means the length of the string. Okay, so shall we run it once? Let's run it. Press F5 key from the keyboard, and we can see that it is asking for enter the string. So if I'm entering computer, I'll get the same result. Now let's run it again. Press F5 key, enter a string. I'm writing my name is Neha, right? So if I'll be printing, then my characters will be printed in this way. And without deciding the range over here, everything is printed because we are calculating the string well in advance. So in this way also we can use the range function. So if I'm completely unaware that how many characters are going to be contained by my string, I can use my length function to calculate the length of the string, and then I can fill it inside my range function. Okay, now one more thing I want to tell you, that in place of this, if I write directly over here length of str1, then also it will work in the same way. So let's run it. Press F5 key from the keyboard, and it is asking me enter a string. Now I'm going to write Python programming language. So now it will be printed in this way. So I can scroll it up and I can show you that interpreter has started retrieving the character starting from P, and then it has retrieved all the characters till E, and along with spacing in between, because space is also counted as a character in a string. Okay, so we shall move on. So I have told you that how can we use the for loop. Now I am going to give an example for while loop. So let me mark it as a comment and let's bring it down. Okay, so here again we are going to accept a string from the user side. Now I'm going to apply while loop over here. So what can I do? Because my while loop is little bit different from the for loop. So as we have taken the range over here, we don't take the range in while loop, but we assign the counter variable in this way. So I am going to start my counter variable from 0, and then I'll be calculating the length. So directly also I can write while I is less than length of str1. Or I can do one more thing, that first I will store this length of str1 in this length1 function, and I can pass it over here in this way. So any method you can use. It depends upon you that how you are going to code your program. And inside this, I'm going to write the print statement. But similarly, I want to tell you that I'll be writing it in this way, str1 of I, because we are going to read each and every character with the help of this counter variable. And here my counter variable is not going to read the characters, but it is going to evaluate and retrieve all the index values. So I indicates my index value. So if I'll write str1 of I, that means with the help of these index values, whatever the value is stored over there will be retrieved. Okay. So another part is initialization we have done. We have taken the condition also. Now increment part is left, because my for loop takes the increment automatically. So I need not to write I plus is equal to 1 over there, but it is necessary and mandatory to be written over here in while loop, because it doesn't take it automatically. So we have converted our program into while loop in this way. So what will happen? Press F5 key, and I'm going to take very short string. So let's say computer itself, and I'm getting the same result as I have got earlier. So this is how we traverse the string with the help of while loop also. Okay. Now there are some more variations we are going to talk about. In our previous video, I talked about reversing a string. Okay, so there I talked about the stride value. That means in the slicing, if we talk about the positive stride value, then we are moving from left to right. And if we talk about the negative stride value, that means we are printing each and every character from right to left in the reverse order. So here actually in traversal, we are not going to take any stride value, but in range function, there will be a little bit change, right? So let's remove it and bring your for loop back. And I'm going to tell you that how can we print the characters in reverse order with the help of for loop. So what can we do over here? If I'm writing this length of str1, what does it mean? If the length is 8 number of characters, so the range will vary from 0 to 7, right? But I have to fix it in reverse order. So my range should be in this way, that I'm starting from the 8th character, okay? But I want to reach till 0th index position. So I'll be writing -1 over here, and because I'm moving in reverse order, so my step value will also be -1. But now again there is a thing that I'm moving in reverse order from -1 to -8, or we can say from 7 to 0. But if I talk about my length of str1, this is 8, but there is no index position by the value 8. It is 7. So I will be writing this range as length of str1 -1, so that it will start from 7th index position. And we are reaching till 0. So that's why we have written the end position as -1. So -1 plus 1 will become 0. Okay. So we shall move on. So my range will vary from 7 to 0, not from 0 to 7. and rest everything will remain same. So there is a little bit change only in the range function. Now let's run it. Press F5 key from the keyboard and then we can see. So I am going to print here Python in reverse order. So my Python is printed in reverse. So in this way we can follow this. And now if I want that Python should be printed in the same line but in reverse order, so what can we do? We can do the change here in the print statement. So I'll be deciding end as this, right? So press F5 key and I'm going to give the value as Python, and it will be printed in the same line having one space in between each and every character but in reverse order. So as you can see that at no, but this is the coding for this, so I can take an example of computer as well. So I'm printing here computer and it will be printed in this way. So now we can come on to this example that my 7th index is holding R. So R has printed first. Now my 6th index position is holding E. So E has printed on the second location and then so on. And the last character is held at 0th index position. So it is printed at the end because we are moving in the range from 7 to 0. It can be written in another way also. How? Let me tell you. So I'm going to remove this and let me shift it here, mark it as a comment. Now what am I going to do over here? For I in range, now here I can talk about negative index, right? So my starting position can be -1 according to my negative index. So let's write -1. Now what is my ending range? This is -8. But as I told you that I am completely unaware if I am accepting the input from the user. So what can I do over here? I can write this length in this negative way and then -1 also. So minus minus will become plus. So if my length of str1 is 8, so it will become -9. Okay, and in range we always take +1 value. So -9 plus 1 will become -8. So finally we are going to stop at -8. Comma -1 because we are moving in the reverse order. So my step value will be -1. And then we are coming here and we are printing str1 of I, and because I want to print it in the same line, so I'll be writing end is equal to this. So press F5 key and run it. Now I am going to take an example of the computer itself, so it will be printing in this way. We can take an example of Python also, so I'm going to show you this. So it will be printed in this way. So as you can compare this output with this output, because in previous output I took the space in between my end separator, but here I have not taken any space, so a little bit difference is there in the previous output and this current output. So this is how we can print our string in the reverse order. Now I can perform the same thing with the help of while loop also. So let's see that how can we do it. Okay, so accepting the string from the user. After that, let's set the limit for my counter variable. So right now I don't want to start from 0, but I want to start from 7. So what will be there? I should be length of str1 minus 1, and that will be 8 minus 1 is equal to 7. So I value we have set as 7 according to this example. Okay, otherwise whatever the string we are going to accept, that will be calculated in the length, and then 1 will be subtracted automatically over here because we have placed -1. After that I need to write while keyword, then I, because we are moving in the reverse order, we have to reach till 0th index position. So I'll be placing this as greater than equal to 0. Okay, so this, or I can write in this way also that greater than -1, no need to place is equal to. So in any manner you can write it. And inside this I'm going to give the print statement as str1 of I, and because we are going to print it in the same line, so I'll be writing it in this way. Then as I told you that while loop never takes the increment or decrement itself. So because we are moving from 7 to 0, so this time we are performing decrement. Okay, so I'll be writing I minus sorry, minus is equal to 1. So let's print it. Press F5 key from the keyboard, and it is asking me the string, so I'm going to accept Python, and it is going to give me the same result as I have got earlier. Okay, so I can show you this for the computer also. So I'm going to accept the string as computer, and it will give me the same result as earlier. So with the help of for loop or while loop, alternatively any loop we can use, just we should know, we should have the knowledge that how to use for loop and while loop for the string. Now there is no criteria in the while loop to read out the characters directly with the help of counter variable as we have done in for loop. Because in for loop we can directly write for I in str1. No need to take the range function. But this concept is not working for while loop. Okay, so I guess this is enough for the day, and we have learned that how can we traverse the string in different ways, and how can we print reverse string in a reverse order. That also we have learned, and with the help of both the loop, that is for loop also and while loop, we have learned. So in my next tutorial I will come with more information. So keep practicing, keep watching. Till then, stay safe, stay happy.